Hey, good evening everybody. Chef Marshall here, and this is Chef Marshall's Cooking with Confidence, our live streaming interactive cooking show where every Thursday night, right now we're at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, we're coming live to you where we provide you an awesome tasting, great tasting, nourishing dish that you get to cook with us in real time if you wish to do so. Live streaming on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. You can watch the replays on YouTube, watch the replays really technically on all streams, and we're also on our website, chefmarshallobrien.com/show. If you are seeing me right now and you're saying, hey, what about this recipe shopping list deal? You got to sign up. Doesn't cost you anything. It's our way to bring some fun nourishment and great tasting vibes to you every week. Just go to chefmarshallobrien.com/show. 4 reasons why we put this show together for you. Number 1, we want to bring a positive thing to your world. Number 2, that's once a week, of course. Number 2, we want to help you with your skills and confidence in the kitchen. Number 3, take the stress out of meal planning. At least you got one thing covered a week. And number 4, we want to teach you how to nourish yourself and not just feed yourself. Again, follow us, Chef Marshall O'Brien on Facebook, Chef Marshall O'Brien on Instagram. We're on LinkedIn as well, Chef Marshall O'Brien, and on YouTube, Chef Marshall's Cooking with Confidence. Love doing the show for you. Please tell your friends, tell your family, tell your family's friends, your friend's family. You know how that routine goes. Tonight, we have an awesome recipe. Very, very tasty. We got grilled steak action with balsamic red onions. I got a tough crowd tonight, and I can't wait to turn that tough crowd into a happy crowd with smiles. But wonderful recipe. It's very simple. We have red onions, of course, with some crushed red pepper, a little salt and pepper, some olive oil, some fresh thyme, and some flank steak. Easy. We're just focusing on the steak and the balsamic red onions because you're going to love this topping on the steak. It's really tasty. Certainly you could have it with a salad. You could have it with some roasted vegetables, some grilled vegetables, but I know you're going to love it. Shout out to producer Alex. Shout out to my right-hand gal, Miss Jonna, who's moderating. So if you are watching this and you want to make a comment in the chat box or you want to say, hey, where do I get the recipes? You can ask Jonna. She's going to say, go to chefmarshallobrien.com/show. You want to say hi? We also have 2 amazing young lady guests, Director Azra and Supreme Overlord Isla. And those are my two daughters, in case you're wondering. Here in studio, very, very fortunate to have them here. We're going to have a great time with no messing around. Okay, let's get down to the recipe. Hopefully you are doing this. You've got your grill. I'm in my studio, so I don't have a grill here. Eventually we're going to be able to, hopefully, if we keep doing the show, we'll get to have some kind of outdoor grill space, grill patio. Not there yet. Having said that, I've got a grill pan, and so I've been getting that heated up. You guys might want to, if you're going to have a conversation, maybe you want to turn off your mic while you're doing that. Anyways, have your grill set up. I have my grill pan heated up, and we're going to start by cooking the onions, and we're going to get those nice and charred and caramelized. And I did that already, but I'm going to show you, and we'll get the process started, and then we'll go on to the steak. Questions, comments, thoughts?
Yes,
Good
Angela
evening. Good
Hi.
evening. Hi. Okay. Sorry. Yes.
Let's see.
Johnna's going to try to say something before she removes some unwanted visitors here.
Yep.
And I'm going to start cutting. We're going to do.
Okay, I still have a question.
Yes, you still have a question, please.
Angela says, I only have flavored balsamic. What should I use? Apple, pomegranate, raspberry, or maple?
I love that. What was the last one? Pomegranate.
Apple, raspberry, maple.
I say go with the raspberry. Honestly, I think you're going to get nice flavor tones from any of those, but I would jump out with the raspberry. And maybe what you could do, actually, take 2 small pans, and you could make a balsamic raspberry reduction and have half your onions once they're done with the thyme and all that kind of stuff, and do the other half with the balsamic maple. I think that'd be cool. That's what I do. Raspberry number 1, maple number 2. Love the question.
And then she also wants to know, I have a giant flank steak, and I was going to put it in a cast iron pan that isn't big enough. Can I cut it in half?
Absolutely you can. Let's talk about flank steak for a minute here, folks. Flank steak, for those of you that are not familiar with it, we're going to show it here right now. I'm just going to put on, these are called my magic meat gloves, also otherwise known as latex food service gloves. But you can see here, we have this flank steak. You can see the striations of the meat. Okay, thank you, Azra. Are you directing tonight, or are you on strike? What's going on? Can you show me a picture up close? Okay. Anyways, thank you. You can see here this striations, these long striated muscles. This is a very lean piece of beef, and so. Angela just said, hey, can we cut it in half? Absolutely, you can cut it in half. This is lean. It's going to be a little tough, and when we finish cooking it, we're going to have thin slices, so it'll be easy to enjoy. But you're going to want to cook this to a medium rare. Obviously depending on your liking, but that's what I do. You can marinate this overnight. You got to be careful on the kind of marinade you use. We talked about this in last week's show. Just pay attention to how long you're marinated so that you don't cure the meat, but you're tenderizing. And with this, being so lean, that will be a nice thing. But to start, go ahead, ask questions, comments, thoughts, folks. Put your courage in your fingertips in the chat box, whether you're watching on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Facebook, or directly on our website, chefmarshallobrien.com/show. Please ask questions. I'm getting my grill pan heated up. If you're using your grill, which I hope you are, we'd love to see a picture with your food on your grill, folks. Speaking of pictures, take photos of what you are doing. We want to see your photos. We want to see your action shots. We want to see your finished product shots so we can acknowledge you. I'm cutting up the onions into 1.5 to inch sections. It kind of just, you can kind of do it however you want, really. Ultimately, you want to have that charred goodness, and I'll show you in a second what that looks like. We're going to take some olive oil here, and we're going to put a little olive oil on the onions. We want to make sure that we got the sizzle. Yes, we do. We're going to put that down. This is going to take some time, okay? You can make this in advance if you wish. You can make these in advance and then have it for, and just, warm it up kind of thing. You definitely could do that. Doesn't have to be the night of that you do it. So keep that in mind. I'm going to toss these. I don't need those. We're going to let those sizzle for a while. Questions, comments, thoughts? Questions, comments, thoughts? I'm going to get...
Rachel says, good evening, Chef Marshall. Thank you for doing this. It's giving some fun while I'm stuck in bed after broken ankle surgery this morning. I love your cooking classes.
Rachel, my pleasure. And I hope that you feel better. And I'm glad that I can be a bright spark in your day. I hope that your ankle heals and you can get in the kitchen with us sooner than later. Rest well, Rachel. That's awesome. We have an in-house question. Yes?
What kind of meat do you use?
We use the flank steak. And remember, we talked about the flank steak, but you were busy doing something else. I think you forgot about it. Yeah. We'll use the flank steak. Good question. All right. Questions, comments, thoughts. With the onions, you got naturally occurring sugar in the onions, and those sugars are going to come out and caramelize. So don't be afraid to let them get a little bit of that, nice golden, dark color on there, and just let them do their magic on here. I'm going to, be careful, by the way, since I've got this grill pan, the oil, the fat is contained on top of the pan, and if you're doing it in a, if you were pan frying these, same kind of thing, you could also broil these, by the way. Put them in the broiler. But where I was going with the fat, if you put it on the grill, you got to pay attention, because when that fat drips through the grill, it can flare up, and I just want you to be safe, so pay attention. If you want to do the broil route or high heat oven route, kind of same technique here, and just keep it in the oven as they get nice and caramelized, and you can flip them, and then as they start to fall apart and get really tender, you can take them and you're off to the races. All right, questions, comments, thoughts? Let this continue to cook. You can see already, I'm going to show you here, we're already getting some color on there. You can see how it's starting to turn, but this is going to take about a half hour when it's all said and done. We're not going to sit here and do this for a half hour, but you get where I'm going. While I'm cooking, got a question, comment? While we are grilling our onions, I'm also going to start the balsamic glaze. We're going to use that glaze as part of the ingredients for the balsamic red onions. It's going to be super, super tasty.
Pam is asking, will top sirloin work similar to flank?
It's going to be a little fattier. Be a great cut of meat. Now, here's a tip that I want you to pay attention to. And Pam, you inspired me to share this with everybody. When you are, whether you're pan frying or grilling, let the piece of meat, let the cut of meat get to room temperature. So, great cooking tip for you. Let that meat rest to room temp, so when you are cooking it, what happens is if it's really cold, you just pull it out of the refrigerator, for example. You're cooking on the outside, it's getting all nice, hot, crusty, caramelized, and charred on the outside, but it's staying raw in the middle. You want to have an even cooking, so you could have it seared on the outside, and if you want it really rare, like it's practically mooing, that's fine, you could do that. And in order to get it to the consistently throughout the entire piece of meat to your liking, you want to let that piece of meat be sit out at room temp. So with that top sirloin, absolutely do that. With the flank, as we have today, let it sit. Good thing. Okay, we're going to, you got another?
I have another.
Yes, please.
Teresa is asking, with using a charcoal grill, should direct or indirect heat be used for the onions and the meat?
That's a great question, Teresa. When you are grilling with charcoal grill, as you said, my suggestion really comes down to your level of comfort, and then how thick did you cut. If you have indirect heat that you're able to manage at a medium high heat, again, depending on what you're cooking, you can go either way, indirect or direct. I think indirect will be a little bit easier. You can manage the heat better, so that would be my suggestion. But if you've got a nice room temp piece of steak and you're going for rare, direct heat, quick sizzle, you're good to go. I hope that helps. I am going to work on our glaze at the same time. This is a really simple recipe, a few moving parts, but once you get past cooking the onions, and again, you can do those in advance, it'd be really simple. I'm going to take a little saucepan, and I have 3 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar. Balsamic vinegar comes from grapes. It's a high sugar content, so we really want to pay attention that we do not forget about it. You don't want to let it, I don't know if any of you have ever done balsamic reductions, and it starts to get thick, and then all of a sudden it turns into like really thick and it bitter because it burned. So you got to pay attention to that. We're going to let this gently simmer and reduce. It just sort of starts to thicken, and I'll show you what that looks like here once we get to that point. All right, let's take a look at our onions. As your onions start to caramelize and get tender, if you want to remove layers, you can do that as we said per the instructions. So I'm starting to get some color on there. We're going to let that keep sitting. I'll show you a finished product here momentarily. Got some more color on there. I'm going to let that sit a bit longer.
While you're working on the onions.
Again, some more color there. Beautiful. Yes, questions, comments, thoughts, folks?
Bev is asking, why not dice the onions raw instead of having to cool to dice after grilling?
So why dice the onions raw?
Instead of having to cool to dice after grilling.
If I understand your question, Beth? Bev, if I understand your question, we want the onions to be tender, and we want to get them that nice caramelized flavor and color, right? And be soft. If we were to chop them up in advance and try to cook them on the grill, if you wanted to put them in foil or a grill pan, you could try that. I feel like having raw diced onions on a grill could be messy, could potentially drop them, into the grill. It could be problematic. That's why I suggest, cook them as we're doing, and then let them chill or let them cool. And again, you could do this the day before, or you could do it, on the weekend kind of thing. Let me know, Bev, if I'm answering your question, because I think I'm not quite getting your question here. All right, see, I've got some nice color on here, so I'm going to flip these guys over. Now, I'm going to show you the finished product here in just a second. Again, we want to, what you could do is you could cover your grill as well to trap some of that heat in there, and that would help speed up the process a little bit. But see how they've got that nice, beautiful color? Everybody can see that. Okay, questions, comments, thoughts? You also will notice that we have nice little simmer on with our balsamic vinegar. And again, I'm being mindful that we don't cook it too fast, because I don't want it to burn, because that could be a problem. All right, I got my onions going. What we're going to do now is I am going to show you the finished product of how these onions look. So you can see here, Azra, why don't you go on 4, please? Actually, go 3. Sorry, go 3. You can see here I've cooked them. They're nice and tender. They're nice and charred. Bev, to your comment, these are very, they're really soft, and that's what we're trying to go for, with just incredible flavor. And that's exactly what we want. So we're going to do that. Yes, Azra has a question. I've lost my co-pilot Jana for a second. She'll be back here shortly to take your questions. I'm going to remove these guys.
If you grilled it, would it be crunchy? The onions?
They could be. For those of you that didn't hear, Director Azra asked, if you grilled the onions a lot, couldn't they be crunchy? Well, they definitely can, because as you're grilling, you're releasing that moisture, and that moisture evaporates, and it can become crunchy, absolutely. And also can be really burned and unpalatable, so we want to pay attention to that. All right, so just pretend, folks, that I cooked up my tender onions after a half hour or so, and they're nice and caramelized like we said, and they look awesome. We're going to chop those up in a second. What I want to do next is I want to get that steak going. Now, we got a lot of little things going on here. Maybe you've done the onions in advance. Maybe you've done your balsamic vinegar. Will you go 4, please? I want to show you real quick. Thank you. We've got bubbles in there. You can kind of see it. We got bubbles happening. This is evaporating. We talked about when do we know that it's has that consistency. So you can see here. I'm going to show you. If you look at the back of the spoon, it's very wet. It's not sticky yet. Okay. We're getting very close on that glaze, and this will turn quick, so you got to pay attention. It'll turn really quick, so you got to pay attention that it doesn't. Can you flip to 2? I know Azra wants to share another question. Go ahead. What would you like to say?
The vinegar doesn't look like plain vinegar.
No, it's not white vinegar. You're right.
It's
It's dark. It's balsamic because it comes from grapes. Good observation. Now,
Looks like vanilla.
it does. You know what? Look at you, Miss Culinarian. Yeah, the balsamic vinegar does look like vanilla, but it definitely does not taste like vanilla. It's very tangy and sweet. Speaking of sweet, this flank steak looks pretty sweet. We're going to add salt and pepper to it, and we'll do a little bit of some olive oil on there, and then we're going to get that on. We're going to get that on the grill pan. Forgive me, folks. Questions, comments, and thoughts are being delayed right now because John is in the middle of dealing with something right now, so she had to step out. But we're going to get the little bit of that olive oil on there, and we're going to keep moving forward. Our grill pan is hot. Adjust your heat as you need to, folks. And then we're going to put the steak, and we got a nice sizzle going. You want the sizzle. That's really important. Okay, I think this is good. Okay, I thought I just burned my balsamic. I definitely burned my nostrils, but that's all right. So our balsamic vinegar, you can see here, it's got a little, see how it's got that shimmery, you can see how it's like that. That is nice, and got a nice little thickness. They call it it a nappe when it sticks like that, and that is good. You can go too, please. So we're going to keep that. We're going to add to our balsamic reduction. We're going to add fresh thyme. A few of you commented about having some thyme plants, and I think that's awesome. I'm glad you're doing that. I prefer to have the plant with the fresh herbs than just, buying them clipped, and if we can have them come back and keep growing more and more, I think that's wonderful. So I have fresh thyme. We're going to do a tablespoon here. Questions, comments? Oh, nobody can answer. I can't answer the questions. Well, just keep rolling with it, folks. I want to know, please make sure that you're putting your pictures of what you're cooking, your action shots. I want to see them so that we can give you shout outs, which we'll be doing in a little bit here. I'm going to take all of these little leaves, and we're going to collect about a tablespoon. We're going to add them to our balsamic, which is now a glaze. Okay, about a tablespoon. And you know what? Depending on you can see here when you look at the thyme leaves. 3, please. When you look at the thyme leaves, like the stalks can be thick, they can be very delicate. So depending on how they are, you can use the leaf, or I'm sorry, you can use the, I'm having a brain fart. What is this? Stem. Yes, you can use the stem or not. So it just kind of comes down to how thick and tough they are. Questions, comments? John is back. Thank you. Nice to see you, Jonna.
Thank you.
We're gonna
Bev says she had the question about the onion grilling. She said, yes, you answered the question.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Since I am using an indoor grill,
Yep.
will dicing the onions first give more surface area to caramelize?
It definitely will. And if you have this kind of setup that I have, it'll probably work for you, not knowing how it's arranged, but you could definitely do that. Absolutely. Look at that. We got some nice color going. So you want to cook your steak 3 to 5 minutes, depending on your level of doneness. But you can see here that we got cooked color around 4, please. We got color. We got our cooked color around, and then we got again that nice char marks there. I'm gonna let that cook just a little bit longer. We're gonna add the thyme to our balsamic vinegar. We're going to add some crushed red pepper. It's going to be really tasty. And then we will chop up our onions, and we're going to put the onions back in the pan, so they can suck up all the just wonderful concentration of the balsamic glaze. I would love to know, Angela, what did you end up going with for your flavored balsamic? And when it's all said and done, please make sure that you take a picture and let us know how it is. I used a half batch of the onions for this demonstration. FYI, you'll have twice as much. But chop that up nice, just as I'm doing here. I'm gonna keep those on my cutting board. Again, if you want, depending on how cooked you want your meat, I'm going to do this a medium rare. I'll do it medium rare for you, but then I'm going to cook it a little bit longer because I have family that I'm going to provide for, and they like it a little more done. We're going to let that keep cooking, but that looks dynamite. Questions, comments, thoughts? This is looking
Angela
awesome.
says she did raspberry, but I'm cooking inside, and we have a little bit of smoked chaos right now, so no pictures.
I'm visualizing. I want to see the smoke chaos. That's awesome. Appreciate it. That's life in the kitchen. You can just make it work, right? Learn from it. All right, onions are all nice and chopped up. This looks great. Again, I recommend want to get all the barriers out of the way when you're preparing great tasting and nourishing dishes. So how can you make this easy? Again, if you're grilling something on the weekend, make this in advance. You're all set. We're going to scrape off the onions and we're going to put them in our pan. A lot of people don't know this, but I got a health benefit coming up for you in 2 seconds. Onions are a fantastic prebiotic food, which means they help create a happy environment for your gut to grow positive, healthy bacteria. So you want prebiotic foods that'll create the positive environment for the healthy bacteria, which are your probiotics, to grow and thrive. And if you got a happy gut, you're going to have a happy brain, happy immune system. Big deal. Big deal. I want you to have food work for you and not against you. So make sure you're getting great tasty and nourishing foods into your life. All right, we got this great, tasty balsamic red onions. Take a look at that, folks. It looks awesome. I love how that is. Can you see that? Awesome. Looks wonderful. You're going to love it. We're going to set that aside. We're cooking our steak. Questions, comments, thoughts? Questions, comments, thoughts? I think if there's no questions, I think at this point, I want to acknowledge we had some people submit their recipes from last week. Let's see what we had. Starting with Pam says, this was very good. I don't cook with thighs much, but notice it wasn't dry at all. And it saved time by buying a bag of kale already chopped up. Excellent suggestion. That was an excellent thing that you did. Love it. Served on a bed of basmati rice. Every time you're making recipes, you can learn a new way to save some time in the kitchen and make it easier for yourself. Well done, Pam. BK says, very tasty, prepping for tonight's dish. I love how you tried it and you're moving on to tonight. Love it. That looked great. By the way, folks, we did a spicy Asian chicken with kale last week. And if you're looking for more helpful recipes, whether it's for you, for your family, loved ones, friends, neighbors, college folks, get our Smart Nutrition cookbook and meal plan, or go to chefmarshallobrien.com or chefmarshallobrien.com/shop. Okay, to help you out. Love it. All right, how's our steak doing? It looks beautiful. It's really important, like as you're cooking, cooking's all about the senses. I want you to feel it. I want you to, you see it, you feel it, you have an idea of the time, and I've probably been cooking this for about 10 minutes now, both sides, that is. And this is just looking dynamite. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get a thermometer out so that I can temp it. So again, it's how do you build that awareness, especially like right now I'm talking, slicing, dicing, I got all this stuff going on. Oh, I missed some of this salt here. Let's add the rest of the salt on there. Having that awareness is going to help build your skills and improve your confidence, and that's really important. So I want to grab a thermometer, which I forgot. So where's my thermometer? If I were a thermometer, where would I be? I would probably not be here, so find it another time. We're just going to roll with it. Question, comment, thoughts?
Dominic says, which is better, Heinz or Hunt's ketchup to put on a juicy steak? And in the parentheses,
he's joking.
I kid.
You what?
He says, I kid.
Yes, thank you, Dominic. I was like, whoa. That's like blasphemy, but that's good. You actually did make me think of when I was a kid, I was a big fan of A1 steak sauce. And runner up to that, if I didn't have the A1 steak sauce, it was Worcestershire. And for those of you that use a lot of Worcestershire, you know how it doesn't have the texture, the thickness that A1 has, but still makes it taste awesome. I'm going to go with Heinz, not on my steak. I never was a Heinz fan. Okay, this is almost done. There is a question by Director Azra. Yes.
What would happen if
Say it out loud so we can hear you.
What would happen if the steak burned? Would it taste good or bad?
What would happen if the steak burned? Would it taste good or bad, you said? You know, kind of depends on how well cooked you like your steak. So that's, you know, really depends. If you really burned it, like forgot about it for like a day, it would be like a brick. Probably wouldn't taste good, but we won't forget. But I do want to look and see where we're at with our steak. Okay, we've got some nice, you know, we've got nice firmness. Again, with this flank, it is going to be very, you know, it's already super, super lean. So we're going to take it off the grill. And you want to let your steak that you cook rest. You know, the longer the better. Obviously, you know, if you want hot, so maybe you let it rest for 5 to 10 minutes, and then what happens is the juices, like the meat, will relax because it's been cooked and it's all seized up, right? Well, it will relax as you rest, meaning the juices will kind of go back in there, and so when you cut it, it's not just going to bleed everywhere and dry out. So that's the whole whole purpose of letting the steak rest. Now you need to be careful. I've learned the hard way. For example, let's say you have a big roast or something that you grilled or was in the oven, and when you take it out, you want to keep it elevated. So like I have it elevated off of the counter. I have made the mistake in the past of putting it on a granite countertop. And what do you think could happen if you put a big piece of meat on a granite countertop? I'll tell you. It continues to cook, and then it gets overcooked, and you know you're not happy. So again, make sure that it's elevated off of your counter so that it can relax. It can start the cooling process. You know, for sake of time, I'm going to show you and see, you know, how good my multitasking abilities are, and we're going to thinly slice this. What I love about this recipe, folks, if you're doing your grilled steak, you know, no matter the cut, and you've got your balsamic red onions, this would be fantastic on top of a salad. So a nice bed of greens, which I just happen to have with me. So we're going to take some greens here, some pre-washed greens, even better. And we could put that on top of a bed of greens, and you could serve it, again, with roasted vegetables, put it as a salad and top it on there. It'd be awesome. However you want to do it, keep that in mind. You want to put it in some tortillas. So you can have a little steak fajita. Maybe you saute up some peppers, or you grilled some peppers and onions, like we did the onions. Do a little more. Questions, comments, thoughts? All right, I am going to slice up our steak. Now, when you think of doneness, in an ideal world, if you have not done a lot of steak, you would eye it, you'd feel it, and you would temp it. And since I lost my temperature, forgive me, I put it somewhere, I don't know where it is. We're going to go by my chef instincts over the last 20 years, and I am aiming for a medium, at this point, a medium cut of meat. Depending on the size of the meat, you might cook it a little bit more, you might cook it a little bit less. A couple things I want you to think about. When you pull your steak off your grill, or if it's in a frying pan, out of the oven, off of the frying pan, it will cook another 5 to 8 degrees. So you want to pay attention. You know, if you're looking for a medium rare steak, you know, you pull it at 125, 130, it's still going to go up 5 to 8 degrees after you get it out of the oven. So be aware of that. And let's cut this up and let's see how we are at.
While you're cutting that,
Yes, please.
Bev is asking, should balsamic vinegar be shaken before pouring? I've got a lot of sediment after pouring the vinegar into the saucepan.
You could definitely do that. Something that we want to keep in mind is the longer that those, as they sit, you know, the sediment's is going to collect there. Shake it up good. You know, we use vinegar regularly in our household for a variety of, whether it's salad dressings or marinades or as part of beverages or soups or whatever. We use it regularly. So I would encourage you to try to use your vinegars on a semi-regular basis, so they'll just they'll have a better flavor. Sometimes they can get bitter over time. Obviously, they're aging too, depending on the type of vinegar. But yes, shake it up. It'll work great. Okay. With our steak, we have a thinner, we have thicker end, we have thinner end, so depending on how you want it, but we're going to slice it here. And I'd like to let it, oh, you guys will be happy with this. I'd like to let it sit even longer, but given the timing of everything, well, this looks good. So we're definitely at a medium, just like I said. So mission accomplished here, folks. This looks great. We're going to, can I give you some greens on top of your, okay, I'm getting the like, okay. Anyways, we have our,
more cooked.
this is very cooked. We have beautiful steak with our balsamic red onions, okay? We're going to top this. We're going to put some steak on there again with your, if you want to have some kind of vegetables on the side or a nice salad, be wonderful. And we're going to put our balsamic red onions. All right, let's recap, folks. Man, this looks dynamite. I'm super happy. I'm going to grab some greens here real quick. Recapping. Make sure that you let that meat rest to room temp, okay? So you can get even cooking. It's going to cook a lot easier. There we go. Now our dish pops just like on the picture. Go for it. Where are we at there? Let that meat rest to room temp. Number one. Make sure that you do not burn watch your balsamic vinegar because of the high sugar concentration. It's going to reduce and it can turn really quick and not burn. So pay attention to that. Other tips that I want you to also be aware of is you can absolutely do the balsamic red onion topping in advance to save you time and all that kind of stuff. Health benefits, onions, prebiotic powerhouse, there's a whole host, and I got a lot of information. If you're looking for foods to support gut health, just let me know at chefmarshallobrien.com. Happy to help. Folks, I hope that you enjoy tonight's meal. Please let me know, take pictures, action shots, completed shots, happy smile face. We want to see your beautiful smiles, enjoying your dinner so that we can acknowledge and showcase you in our future shows. Hope you enjoy it. Okay, please find us on Facebook, chefmarshallobrien.com, Chef Marshall O'Brien, Instagram, Chef Marshall O'Brien, and YouTube, Chef Marshall's Cooking with Confidence. You can also find us live streaming on LinkedIn as well. Next week, we're cooking with salmon. Okay, we'll probably do a similar grilled salmon type thing. Maybe we will, maybe we don't. I don't know. We kind of smoked up the studio, so I got to figure out how to make that work. But we're got something with salmon. It's going to be awesome. Everybody, appreciate you being with us tonight. We'll see you next week. Have a good one. I'm getting, what does that mean? Oh yeah, that means keep going. Well, I can tell you some more. Not only do I love the dish, but if you want to, again, cook it tonight, you want to have it as your salad tomorrow. Make it for your salad tomorrow. And if you're looking for more great nourishing, great tasting recipes that you want to get into your life or help people, our Chef Marshall's Smart Nutrition Cookbook and Meal Planner. Go to chefmarshallobrien.com. Get the book. See you next week, everybody.